Good afternoon to all of you. Good afternoon. We are in the sector of energy, so you must demonstrate your level of energy. So very warm welcome to this session on that. This is very important session from the point of view of energy aspects for our country. And what I'll do is I'll share some of the slides through a presentation which I think would be relevant, might provoke you for thinking what all can be done and what all is being done, whether it makes sense or not, and what can be improved upon. The idea is that for a country of our size, huge demand for energy, we need to really see all kinds of energy sources that can be collated for our needs, and particularly seeing the pressures of the climate change and the energy transition trends that are there in the world, what can be done to harness this abundant energy source that is available in the country here. So I'll be talking about, I think this is the, yeah. So I'll be talking about the future of coal, the coal gasification, some of the important milestones that the country has seen in coal gasification sector, some of the recent developments and initiatives we see worldwide, also some of the initiatives in the country, some of the latest incentives and schemes by the Government of India to facilitate coal gasification process, and something about coal gasification or Coal Gasifiers Association of India, which I'm representing right now in this session. So, as I shared yesterday, the energy transitions trends are very clear. There are many scenarios developed by different international organizations like IEA, World Energy Council, several well-known companies. All traditions, all these kind of scenarios point out just one thing, that there is a transition and there is a tremendous pressure to shift to cleaner energy. And as per the projections, they say that by 2050, approximately 50% of the energy mix will comprise renewable, non-fossil. So for those countries who are largely dependent on fossil, they need to really see this trend. And this includes India as well on that. If you just see a specific source of energy, what are the likely changes? I've just picked up one of the scenarios here, which shows clearly that coal, if you see the dark one here, actually by 2050 would be reduced to almost about 1/3 from the present share. Similarly, oil would be reduced to around half or maybe less than half on that. Gas is the only fossil fuel which would perhaps sustain. It will also get reduced in its contribution to the primary energy mix, but still not much difference on that. But on the other hand, you see what has emerged is the bioenergy, the hydropower, the solar and wind, tremendous improvement in terms of contribution to the energy source. That's the cleaner energy source. So that's what is happening, and we need to see what India is doing and what can be done. When we see India, this is one of the study done by one of the international company, which said that while the whole world can be divided into 10 segments, each segment has its own characteristic of trends in energy transition. They're not similar. Each country or continent has its own energy system. So in the Indian subcontinent here, we see that what is going to happen by 2050 is that about 500 million more people are going to join. The GDPs may be increasing several folds on that. Despite the fast contribution, increasing contribution of the renewable energy, coal, the fossil fuels, would continue to be around 62% even up to 2050. So they visualize that India would perhaps continue to use that. Can we transition more quickly to a cleaner fuel in view of some of the commitments that the country has made internationally. That we need to really see. But this is one of the scenarios that the companies have, international companies have developed, showing India slightly behind in terms of transitioning to the cleaner fuels. Coming to the future of coal, coal normally faces two main issues globally. Number one, local pollution, greenhouse emissions with global consequences. Number two, that there is a belief now that we have enough of the renewable energy coming from solar and wind, so there may not be a much need for coal, which is seen as a risky and expensive option. I think this we need to really evaluate in each country's context very, very clearly on that. India, which produces around 770 million ton in 22, which is about 8% more than on year-to-year basis, we are satisfied that while the coal composition and contribution is increasing, India is still on track to meet the commitments made to the Paris Agreement on that. We should also see that the availability of coal in abundance is an opportunity for India. It's not a problem, but it's an opportunity, but we need to really utilize this opportunity properly on that. So the focus is on clean coal technologies, reduce greenhouse gases, also the non-greenhouse gases as well, like SOx, NOx, particulate matter and all. We also see that in our country, decarbonization process is very slow, which need to perhaps hasten on that. Globally, if you see, there are about 272 operating plants as per the Gasification and Syngas Technologies Council, international organization, with about 686 gasifiers, and there are yet another about 74 plants under construction with about 238 gasifiers. So this area is definitely growing worldwide. Coal gasification is considered internationally as the most effective, cleaner option as compared to direct burning of coal, and utilizes the chemical properties of the coal. So you have, as energy source, you also have a source for numerous value-added products that you can really use them industrially, and many of them are imported in the country here. The syngas produced from the coal can be utilized for, as I said, synthetic natural gas as energy fuel, but also in the production of urea, fertilizers, chemicals, a number of value-added chemicals. Of course, there was an issue of definition in the country, which we have sorted out. I just made it a point there as an association on that. So this is a graph which depicts the process of coal gasification. As you see here, we have the gasifier, we put in the coal there in the presence of oxygen at the desired temperatures and pressures also. We can convert into several products. The main target is to produce syngas, which is a mixture of gases, predominantly hydrogen and carbon monoxide. That's the target on that. And from there, you can really separate out the desired gases and use them for industrial purposes. So there are many uses, and we can really do, and a lot of macroeconomics have been worked on targeted products, and I must say here that many of those products can compare very competitively from their routine processes through the petroleum products, petroleum cycle. What are the advantages of coal gasification? It promotes alternate usage of domestic coal in an eco-friendly manner. The process is about 17 to 20% as per reports more efficient than conventional coal burning to produce electricity. Hence, it reduces the dependency on coal mining for energy generating power plants. Second is the hydrogen economy. We all are talking about the cleanest fuel, hydrogen. And there are processes now where you can convert coal into hydrogen and separate it out and really move towards a hydrogen-based economy. Number three, for India specific, we can reduce the fiscal deficit because we import many products which we can really produce from coal. If you are generating gas from coal, then the transportation is definitely less costlier than transporting coal, less messy as well. The greater efficiency and than conventional coal burning is, as we pointed out, makes it perhaps a preferred process to be used. In our country, there have been various developments starting from 2018. I have traced all the major important events that have happened in the coal gasification sector, starting from 2020 when the Government of India announced its first coal gasification-based fertilizer plant at Talcher. In 2019, RIL implemented 10 units of gasification there. August 19, Government of India allowed 100% FDI. PM said that in this that give an impetus on the clean coal technologies, basically coal gasification. In September 19, Coal India Limited announced their projects in September 19. May 2020, Ministry of Finance announced incentives for coal gasification through liquefaction through rebate in revenue share. August 22, Government of India formed a steering committee under the Niti Aayog to look into the coal gasification, how it can be given more impetus. So there are many things that have happened over a period of time to the present day when we are discussing today in the 13th World Petro Congress here on the importance of coal gasification and what can be done to take it forward. Just to share on some of the recent developments and projects, what are the initiatives worldwide under focus? Number one is that there is a shift and focus on creating an integrated coal gasification combined cycle and integrated coal gasification fuel cell combined cycle power generation technologies. These are primarily in China and Korea. They are focusing on this. And the efficiencies are much higher, which they say they can offset the costs of carbon capture and utilization technologies if they implement. Then we have coal to hydrogen. It's a off-the-shelf technology available in Japan, which they call it HyCall. They also have a technology what they call EAGLE, multi-purpose technology for coal energy applications for gas, liquids, and electricity. Also, the focus in the coal gasification is coming on the replacing the cryogenic processes currently in use, where they're more expensive, to use membrane technology, whether it is to separate out hydrogen and purify that, or similar separation of other gases there. Also, there is a process improvement in place where they are trying to put few steps of process into one. So where the time is reduced, the cost is reduced, and you have better conversion of that. So these are the main focus worldwide on the process development for coal gasification. Then catalytic hydrothermal high pressure gasification in aqua state is another process developed by Paul Scherrer Institute, which is very, very effective. And they have worked out that they can produce 0.25 kgs of methane from 1 kg of biomass, and they can use any kind of wood or waste, organic waste to gasify it. In Indonesia, we see a major project coming up here where the feasibility has been completed, and also the Air Products have announced several coal gasification projects worth more than $13 billion. So there's a lot of activities going on worldwide in countries where there is abundant amount of coal available. What about India? There are many products. You'll be happy to note that some of the projects are world-class scale projects, like Talcher Fertilizer Limited is a joint venture between Coal India, GAIL, Rashtriya Chemicals, and FCI. It's a first coal gasification-based fertilizer plant at Talcher, state-of-art complex consisting of coal gasification and an ammonia plant as well as the urea plant. It's currently about 2.5 million ton coal gasification with an estimated expenditure of about just under 13,500 crores, and we are very eagerly looking forward to its completion in this year, end of this year and that. Some time back, very recently actually, New Era Green Tech Solution announced a 5 million ton coal gasification project for value-added products in Maharashtra, which is again a joint venture. And the interesting thing is that organizations which are not really into coal industry or were not really into coal industry, had hardly any experience, have also ventured into, and this shows that the attractiveness of the coal gasification sector in that. Another important thing is, and I think it's heartening to see that several organizations in the country have developed their own technologies. Like Reliance Industries has developed over the years technology to use coal mixed with biomass. Earlier they'd used petcoke also. Thermex has developed its own technology suitable for Indian coals. It's important that you need to really develop the gasifiers, the operating conditions of the gasifiers which are suitable for Indian coals. Not all technologies can be applied as such on that. And I'm sure we'll have some discussion and presentation from Varun here on some of the new developments that have their company is working on perhaps higher efficiencies of gasification using the Indian coals and that. BHEL has developed their own gasification technology, and not only developed but also constructed, designed and constructed, and that has been operating for more than 10,000 hours now. So it's a successful demonstration of the technology. Also, the CSIR Institute at Dhanbad has developed their concepts on suitable fluidized bed gasifiers which are suitable for Indian coals on that. These are the projects which are right now under implementation. We can see that different companies like Coal India, Navin Lignite, Jindal Steel and Power, BPCL, ECL, CCL, this is Western Coalfield and Southeastern Coalfields. All of them are having big projects on that. And we are sure that in coming time, we will have experiences on a world-class scale of operations of such plants and all. And what is already operating, I've just listed here, petcoke gasification plant of Reliance for many years now, coal gasification plant of Jindal Steel and Power here, where Mr. Sharma is coming right from Angul there, has been operating for many years now, and they've gone through a process of really closely seeing the technologies, design, performance, and have made their in-house changes also to be successful, and perhaps they are the biggest operator of the coal gasification today. And BHEL, as I shared with you, is successfully operating. So there are demonstrative big projects, large-scale projects, which has given us a lot of confidence that we can do that and we can successfully gasify the Indian coals. Also, the government has come up with a lot of incentives to really make it successful. There are schemes like Uttam for bringing in transparency in the third-party assessment, Shakti for linkages. All coal companies, there is a mistake here, have actually recommended that each coal company should at least attempt 10% of its coal for gasification. This is 10%. And also identify a person or a team to look after the coal gasification. Most significant initiative by Government of India is the announcement of coal gasification mission, which says that 100 million ton of coal would be made available only for coal gasification and would be available by 2030. And under this scheme, they are trying to translate this mission statement into policy framework, and there's a lot of consultation going on between the industry, different operators there, and the Government of India. And we are hoping that some kind of a paper on incentives would be very soon available for all the players or interested players in the field of coal gasifications. There was an initiative that where the government of India has put 20 mines which they were not using, abandoned mines, for coal gasification, where known coal reserves are there, and organizers, the companies which are interested can really bid for that, and there are many incentives for that. Many approvals are given upfront. Also, the place to set up the plant is also there, close to the coal mine. So many other incentives are there. So I think there is a lot of attempts by the government of India to really make it easier, attractive, and also promote people to come and invest here. Some of the suggestion as an association, where we represent a large number of coal gasifiers, we also represent coal consumers, engineering companies, academic institutions, and actual producers of the value-added products also. All of them, we had given their views to the government of India, and some of them are listed here. We have said that these projects of coal gasification are high value, and therefore they need support. So for that support, there should be a provision for viability gap funding or a grant. It could be considered on a PPP model. The coal pricing should be made attractive on the lines where we have the power sector there, and government could also consider some scheme that they buy back for a certain period of 5 years, 10 years, the products that the gasification players are going to manufacture that. And also propose and come out with a long-term perspective on coal gasification, so that it gives the confidence. The government is seriously considering a grant in aid or viability gap funding, and that will give confidence to even banks to prefer to extend loans more confidently to the serious players there. I have a list of here. There are a number of producer gas operators which are doing this, producing producer gas, which is like a synthesis gas, for a long time, for a small their operations. Many of these such operators have even one gasifier. Some have 5, 10, 20. So there are a number of them, and if you see, the total number is over 300 gasifiers. So in India, we do find people, organizations, small, medium size, as also big size, who have gained over a period of time some experience. And many of them are willing to really go in for a larger scale, more investment. And we will see that in the coming time, they will perhaps be part of that. Continuing with some of the suggestions, we have said that coal pricing, as I talked to you, long-term demand projections on that, subsidy grant should be increased to 1,000 crores from the earlier proposed 600 crores in view of that. And maybe government can also, over a period of time when we have enough synthesis gas, can permit merchant sale of synthesis gas or producer gas also. So these are the suggestions which are actively being considered by the government, and we hope that in time to come, it will make this mission, a very successful as initiative of the government of India. As an association of coal gasifiers, the purpose is to really bring about all the stakeholders in the gasification, whether it's a coal producer, coal consumer, chemicals, value-added product producers, engineering companies, academics, R&D institutions, all together to share their experiences and make it available and share those experiences so that they can improve further on that. To also hold workshops and seminars. We propose to hold a workshop very recently now. We'll come up with the timelines on that, and also publish some of our own publications, share the knowledge, what is all happening internationally as also in the country. And should you require any other information, please do contact the Secretary General at this address. We'll be happy to provide you more information. So I think coal gasification is all set to be a very vibrant business venture in the country. And I think players like Jindal Steel and Power have really demonstrated that this can be very successfully done, and they're expanding on that. And I'm sure this will create a lot of interest in other players, as also the homegrown technologies as well on that. Thank you very much. We'll be happy to answer any questions.